National Guardsmen that have been deployed to the hardest hit areas that are assisting in infrastructure and traffic flow, as well as water and security areas. And so I'll let General Henderson give a little bit more update. Most importantly, we had the chance to again hear directly from our county judges on the ground, get an update from them, address specific needs and requests that they have. It is certainly not lost on us how devastating of a storm this was to our entire state, and this is something that is going to take us a long time to recover and rebuild, but the state is fully committed to making sure that we take care of the people of Arkansas. We're going to keep doing that every step of the way until we get people fully taken care of. I want to commend our team at Adam, led by Director Gary. They've done just a tremendous job, as have our National Guardsmen and women and our state police and law enforcement across the state, who have really done just heroes work over the course of the last week. And I know a lot will be asked of them in the coming days and months, and we're grateful for their willingness to serve and take care of our communities. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Director Gary and then General Henderson, and we'll come back up and take some questions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Governor. First of all, I want to say I appreciate the governor and the time that she spent. I know the night of the storm, the early morning hours, I was getting calls. I was sending that information to the governor's office to make sure that she had all the information that she could. I want to thank the Adam team. They actually, some of them came in from vacation, came back a day early to make sure that they were here assisting the counties. Got the call last night that our major declaration request was approved. This is going to be great for our citizens. It'll turn on a lot of federal programs that can help the individual homeowners. A lot of times we have disasters like this, there's questions about why only 3 counties or why we did certain things and not all the counties. As we're doing damage assessments, especially on homes, there's certain thresholds, there are certain data points that we have to meet to request a federal declaration. We want to move as quickly as we can. As my team was flying with FEMA over the damage area, it was evident pretty quickly that we had enough information to request that federal declaration. Once we got that data, we immediately got with the governor. The governor did a letter making that request to the president. We are continuing to do damage assessments at homes in our counties. We were in Baxter County yesterday, and we're in Carroll County and Fulton County today, and possibly Madison County. As we get that data and it meets those landmarks, we will be adding those counties to this declaration. So if you're in one of those counties that's not on there, you will be if you have that damage in your county. So we'll be adding those on. We have a lot of work ahead of us, just like we did in the March 31st storms of last year. But we have a great team here at Adam. They're very passionate about what they do. We are working very close with FEMA. They're a great partner. The FEMA administrator was up here yesterday viewing the damage, had some great conversations with her. Our Region 6 administrator was also up here, and I was on the phone with him last night. So our citizens will be seeing a large FEMA response here very quickly. With that, Governor, I'll end and turn it over to the General.
Good afternoon, and thank you. The Guardsmen are on the ground there in the affected area. We have a little over 200 soldiers that are there, and we're operating primarily dispatch out of the Bentonville Readiness Center, and our command and control teams are there dispatching them throughout the affected area wherever they may be needed by the local authorities. Our missions are primarily to provide the traffic control and security. We also have some additional capabilities that we can use to take care of our people and distribute water throughout the affected area. We have 6 requests for assistance that were approved at this point in time, and we continue to be there to help assess the situation and assist the local authority with whatever they may need. And with that, I'll open up for questions.
You guys have any questions?
Yes, is there an updated number of fatalities?
As of right now, we have 10 fatalities confirmed in the state that were either directly or related to the storms that came through Arkansas.
And is there an estimated number of how many buildings were damaged?
We're still going through the assessment process, and that's going to take a bit more time. But AJ, if you want to give a quick update on where we are at this point.
Sure. The aerial surveillance that our team did was very helpful. We counted a little over 300 destroyed homes. It will be a while before we can get a full number because we're also following that up with house-to-house, address-to-address checks, and we are also gathering information on businesses and critical infrastructure. We will start preliminary damage assessments on public assistance, which is our infrastructure, county, city buildings. We are starting that next week. So we'll have some data flowing in throughout the next couple of weeks.
I know the Weather Service has confirmed at least 13 tornadoes so far. Is there any way you could maybe, I know you're early in the assessment, is there any way you could contextualize the scope of this weather event compared to what Central Arkansas and the Wynn area experienced early last year?
So I don't want to compare disasters to other disasters because they are different no matter where they're at. 300 homes destroyed is quite a bit. There is some populated areas that were hit this weather event, and we had a lot of rural area that was hit. So I'm not going to compare one disaster to the other. I will tell you that this is a significant disaster, which is what led to such a quick turnaround on the major declaration.
Any estimate on the value in dollars, the damage that we got?
Not at this point, especially not when it comes to homes, businesses, and infrastructure. It will be a little while before we get that total amount. We know that there's quite a few millions in co-op damage for utilities, and we know that there is well over 20 million just in one county alone on debris cleanup and so forth. So this will be a very significant and costly disaster.
Which county is that?
I'm sorry. Benton is the one that we've got somewhat assessed on the debris. So part of our request for that presidential declaration was to gather those numbers. So when we saw that large number for debris, that helps on our declaration process.
What resources are available specifically to rural communities where people may not be able to access the city centers, for example?
Sure. So the best way that we can know about those resource needs is to go through the county emergency manager. They work directly with us. We also have a lot of volunteer organizations that are on the ground. The governor's website can help people find those resources. Over the next few days, there will be a lot of FEMA activity. We will be setting up disaster recovery centers, resource centers in different areas that will have an opportunity for citizens to even get more information.
If I could, that website is helparkansas.com, and that has a county-by-county breakdown of both resources available, but it also allows people who want to offer assistance an avenue to do so. So that will we're constantly updating that, and will allow people to see all of the things that are available right there in their community.
Have we heard of any issues with insurers? Have y'all been notified by any of the people that had damage to their businesses or homes, if there's been any issues so far, or is it too soon to tell?
Yeah, we have not heard of any issues. We will take all of that information we'll take a look at all of that information as we go through the process. I will say, and we talk about this quite a bit through preparedness and after a disaster, the best way that people can come home from an event like this is to have insurance and if they have not updated their insurance lately, we really encourage them to do that. We all know that housing costs have gone up, building costs have gone up. So we really encourage people every so many years to evaluate their insurance and make sure that their insurance is up to date with the value of their homes.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, well, that was the governor and other state leaders thanking first responders this afternoon in Little Rock from Camp Robinson. Now, just a few things coming out of what they were talking about there, that major disaster declaration signed by the president has come through, saying that will help businesses and homeowners as well. They also say that they will be adding more counties to that disaster declaration as that assessment continues. Also, right now, we do know that there are 200 guardsmen who are on the ground in our area helping with things like traffic control and security as well. They also talked about taking an aerial surveillance of places like Benton County. They knew right away that they'd be asking for that disaster declaration because of so much damage. Preliminary assessments show them right now about 300 homes destroyed across the state because of these storms. That could be more. And also that this will be a costly cleanup. They expect it will take millions to clean up across Arkansas, with a good estimate of about $20 million for Benton County alone. Now, you can catch up with us at 4, 5, and 6 later this evening on 5 News for more on that live press conference. Now, we're also waiting in Benton County. This is a live look right now where officials there, they're continuing to assess the damage. We're expecting an update on those recovery efforts live right here at home. We're still waiting for that to start, but once we see some movement there at the podium, we will take that live for you as well to listen in on as well. And let's go ahead and take a live look at the 5 News Cares Drive. We have that right now happening in Rogers, where we're set up at Arvest Bank. 5 News and the American Red Cross are taking donations to help victims of the storm. There's your live look right there. Now, if you'd like to help from home, you can text GIVE to 479-785-5000. We'll send you a link on how to donate. We'll also hear from 5 News anchor Tiffany Lee and volunteers right here during your 5 News at noon. That's coming up shortly. But thank you for joining us here today. I'm Joe Ellison. Bella joining us first on that forecast. We're hoping for some good weather to continue because we got a lot of cleanup to do.
Yes, we do. We do have a few showers trying to work in today, trying to clear out right now, but over the next couple of minutes, we're going to see that build up a little bit more. Once we get into the afternoon, better chances of those showers, about 40-50% chance. We had quite a few showers work through this morning. You can see really not connected, isolated showers just popping up here and there. You can see that trying to push into 4 County. Waldron is seeing a few of those in Scott County pushing up, and then another little pop up there in Benton County. We are seeing 70s out there right now, mid 70s, and really a couple showers today, and that's it.
All right, thanks for that, Bella. We're going to go ahead and go to Benton County where that live press conference is starting now.
Set and ready to roll? Okay. All right. My name's Barry Mooring. I'm the Benton County Judge. I wanted to give an update on relief efforts pertaining to the disaster and tornado event we had this last weekend. Behind me, I have some folks that are going to help me with this. Got Robert McGowan, who is our Administrator of Public Safety, Rogers Mayor Greg Hines. I've got our Sheriff Sean Holloway, Mayor of Bentonville Stephanie Orman, and Rod Grieve, our Benton County Assessor. And we're going to kind of take you through step by step. Our goal here today is to make sure that as we go into the weekend, people have information about what we've done to date and what citizens need to be thinking about who are affected by this storm. First thing I want to say is we were really, really pleased that overnight we got the federal disaster declaration. That is a really big deal. We don't deal with disasters every day, but FEMA and the federal government does, and that disaster declaration means that the cavalry is basically on the way. This is a disaster declaration for private property at the moment. We expect it to also be for public property here before too long. And what that means is FEMA is going to set up something called a disaster recovery center. We expect there to be one in Benton County, where individuals can go and actually apply for federal disaster aid. They'll also be able to do it online. And my understanding is, I think they'll be able to do it online as of today out at the FEMA website. This will be for individuals and businesses who are impacted by the storm. And so that's a really, really big deal. I was just on a briefing by Governor Sanders and her team for all the county judges in the counties that were affected, and it was very, very assuring to know that they're out there and that they're on their way. Just a couple other things to give you an update on, and then we'll open it up for questions. At Benton County, we do have a website now. If you go to our main Benton County website, you can link to our website, and there's a specific URL. That website has all of our information that I'm going to share with you today about what's going on in the county, all of the resources we have, and all the things that citizens need to be thinking about. We will update that website on a regular basis, and I'm sure some of the other entities have websites as well. Another thing that happened in the last 24 hours or so that was really important is Governor Sanders signed an executive order that moved off the assessment, the personal property assessment deadline that was to be today. That won't now be until June 30th. Our assessor is here if you have any questions about that. That's going to be a big deal for people who haven't assessed their property to date or hadn't had a chance to do it, and now this week they're dealing with a disaster. So that's a lot of grace coming from the governor's office for that. We also have a couple of flyers that you can print out at that website I told you about. Real simple flyers. If you want to walk your neighborhood or you're part of a church group and you just want to hand out flyers in unincorporated Benton County about what to do with debris and waste, that's a flyer that can help you with that. We've been asked for simple tools like that people can utilize. And of course, the cities will have their own information about how to handle that in the cities. From a debris cleanup standpoint, in Benton County, we have opened up 3 debris dump sites. Those are at the Benton County Fairgrounds on the west side off of 279. The other one is at the Decatur Road Yard, which is over in the Decatur area. That address is online, but I'll give it to you in a second. 200 Spavinaw Avenue. I just always refer to it as Decatur Road Yard. And then we've opened up another debris site up on Highway 62, the address 603 South Highway 62. That's a Rogers address. A couple of important things about those sites. One is they're going to be open from 7 to 7, Monday through Saturday. Those are the sites that for Benton County that the National Guard is helping us with traffic control. Really important as people start to fill up those trailers and come in. We think that we might have some traffic needs there. Other important information about those debris sites. Those are for private citizens. So if you're a private citizen, you load up your trailer and you bring it to the dump site, the debris site, no problem. That's also for charities. But if you're a contractor, we cannot take your waste at these sites if you're a contractor. It is illegal for us to do so. We also can only take vegetative debris right now. So you can't load up your construction waste or your broken furniture and things like that. We will have more information coming on what to be able to do with that. But at this point, we're really talking about vegetative debris only, private citizens only, 7 to 7 at those sites. I'll also encourage you to go to the Benton County Citizen Damage Reporter. That's out at that web page I told you about. If you go to the Benton County web page and then you click on the link to that disaster relief page that we have, the damage report is really important. We have about 2,400 citizens who have done that now. And that basically preloads a lot of information now that FEMA has declared a disaster. That database will be shared with FEMA. When you go meet with them, that information will already be there. That database will already be there. It also helps us keep an accounting of how many people really have had damage to their homes. And like I said, right now we've had 2,400 people that have gone out there. We expect that to go up significantly. There have been places in the county, I'll talk about the Decatur area for a second, that haven't had Wi-Fi or internet service. They haven't had the ability to do that. I talked to Mayor Tharp out there this morning. They're getting the Decatur Library open back up, and they're going to be able to now offer services to their folks out there to get on that website and get their damage included on that damage reporter. He expects to have 40 to 45 people doing that imminently. So Decatur hasn't even been able to do that yet. So that's really important. And then the final thing that's out on that website is just our facility closures. Benton County facilities were hit pretty hard. We've had our courthouse here closed. We've had our Rogers facility closed. Division I criminal court is going to move into this room starting on Monday. And we're going to have to make some changes about how we have our offices open and our courts open. Probably one of the most important things is going back to that personal property assessment and our collectors and assessors offices around the county. We were down in all of those because our servers were over in our Rogers facility, and those were basically without electricity and potentially damaged. And we had to bring those back online before we could bring any of our offices back online. We are now working on that very diligently and hope to have our 3 offices in Bentonville, Siloam, and Gravette open next week, as well as our website for the assessor and collector. Our Rogers office is not going to be open for a while. That's the big DFNA office, the DMV, if you will, in Rogers. That office won't be open for a while, but we'll be sure to update the website when it's open. So with that, I'm going to have a Mayor Orman. Actually, Sheriff Holiday, do you have anything you want to add today?
I don't, unless I'll take questions at the end of everything.
Okay. And then I'm going to have Mayor Orman come up, and then Mayor Hines, and then if you have any questions for our assessor, Rod Grebe, and then we'll just take questions across the board.
Okay, well, we've been trying to share updates through our social media, so if you're a Bentonville resident, we would ask that we direct you to there. We had about 96 roads that were closed at the beginning of the storm. Last night we were down to about 8 or 9. We continue to have our electric crews out. We have mutual aid cities coming in that are helping us with that, and we are down to about 600 roughly customers that are out, so they've been working hard. From about 10,000 that were originally out. So we now have shifted some of our crews to debris pickup, and so we're going to be informing the public of maybe some scheduling with that. But right now, we've got volunteers out that are just helping neighbors and getting it into trailers and getting it to one of our 2 facilities that we have for Bentonville residents. We have been asking that you do bring your Bentonville utility with us, but the county also has 3 facilities open for the other cities in the county. So we're just encouraging our residents to make sure that to check on your neighbor. I will say that that's been the one thing that we have seen consistently throughout this disaster is that people are out helping each other. So we hope this weekend, and we see people doing the same thing, getting out, helping people to get the debris, and then also we want to make sure that now that the disaster has been declared, that we are encouraging all of our residents to make sure that they get their damage reported, and we'll be continuing to update people. We're also going to be very coordinated with the state level on some of the communication in the county, so that it's not confusing for the residents. Sometimes you might have county information, Bentonville information. I know there was some interchanging information on a boil order, water order, and Bentonville is not under a boil water order. So we're just going to try to give as much consistent communication out to the public. Please, we've got several numbers, but you can always call the mayor's office, but watch our social media. That'll be the best resource for everybody.
Great. Thank you all. Real quick, I just want to jump on to what the judge said, and that is that this is a huge deal. This is the moment that we have been waiting for since we all sort of settled in after Sunday morning. This opens up and allows us to start the process of recovery. And while our local crews have been diligently working from sunup to sundown to clear roads and to help move debris so that our electric companies could reestablish power to residents and businesses, that they'll now be able to shift that role and start with the cleanup. This also means that we'll now be able to execute contracts for both our monitoring companies as well as the company or companies that will be involved in picking up the storm debris over the next many months. And so this is a monumental task that we've been waiting for the governor and the president to execute, and now that has been done. I think it's really important to jump also on the point that these sites that we've had open now for several days for our residents to drop the storm debris have been well used. We've at both sites, which I'll give you the addresses of 3101 West Oak and 2300 North Arkansas Street. We also have the ability for folks to get rid of food waste at those sites, and we're currently, and maybe by this afternoon, even going to have a solution for household trash as well as construction debris to be picked up at that, dropped off at that site as well. Again, it requires you to prove that you are a Rogers resident and not a commercial hauler. The thing I would say to the public that are hiring and choosing to hire local landscape companies, there's no problem with that, okay? That's fine to do. But just understand they're bidding, inside their bid, they are billing you to take that debris to the landfill because that's the only place they can take it. And so to have them come to our facility and folks get upset because the hauler leaves and then calls them back and says, hey, we weren't able to dump this at the free site that the city has open for residents, and so, you know, that's a problem. So it's a bit of miscommunication. I hate that it's out there, but I just think that, you know, residents need to understand, business owners and residents just need to understand that when you hire a local person right now, they're billing you to take this stuff to the landfill. Now, once we're able to get our 2 monitored sites open, those are secure sites where the public are not allowed. They're only sites where professionals can drop debris off. Once those are open, and we couldn't open those or hire those folks until this declaration came through. So once we establish those, then these local landscape firms will be able to come to that location to drop off debris once we're able to monitor it. So that's the most important message going into the weekend, is understand that we want you to solve your problems if you can. I want to encourage that. I'm trying to do that myself, but you kind of have to know the state of play. And that's where we're at on that. The reestablishing of powers is going well. I couldn't say enough great words about SWEPCO and their response to this disaster. They have brought thousands and thousands of people online every day as we go along. I would also think that in conjunction with that power reestablishing, that you know, I want to give a shout out to our National Guard. These folks have been embedded with those crews to try to keep traffic off of them and keep them focused on reestablishing power. And that has really gone smooth. And so I don't know where we'd be without their help right now as it relates to protecting their staging site, to protecting, you know, and handling the way that traffic flows through that area. So that's been a huge success. And other than that, you know, we'll continue to roll out information. It was briefly mentioned here, but I think I want to drive this point home too as well. Your best source of information ends in .gov. It's not Facebook and it's not X. If you need to find information about what your city and your county are doing as a result of this storm and how we are instructing citizens to proceed forward, look at your county website, look at the city websites, call the city, call the county. We are the best source of information. You know, I know everybody wants to be helpful, but you know, rumors sometimes get in the way, and so don't fall into the rumor. Just get the facts, and we're going to get through this. It's tough right now. I mean, I got to tell you, even folks that didn't lose property or life in this, it's still an emotional time for the community. And look, here's the thing. It doesn't even matter if you're from this community. If you're here and you just see this devastation on the ground and you look in the faces of some of the folks that have found themselves displaced, you can't help, if you're a decent person, but become a little bit emotional about that. So we just want to ask folks to extend grace and kindness as we try to get through this together. Thank you.
Any questions?
Judge, what kind of mental health resources is the county providing? Have you guys been able to figure some of those out?
You know, that would just be purely on a referral basis. We don't have within county government a mental health resource, so we would be able to have to refer those out. So I don't really have a lot of details on that this early in, but I'm sure that there are people out there that need those resources, and they're available in our community. Talk to your provider is the best advice I have right now.
What long-term housing options have you been thinking about figuring out?
Yeah, so this is actually going to be, I would say there are two issues, and when I was on with the governor earlier with our fellow county judges, the two needs that I think are going to be really acute as we go forward are going to be housing and shelter. That's going to be an issue, as well as debris removal. Those two things are going to be really, really important. We've put that on the radar at the governor's office and the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management, as well as with FEMA. And so we're going to work with them on how we solve that problem. I don't have a solution here today, but we're going to be working on that. We know that we had a housing problem before the disaster hit, and so this will make that only more acute. On debris removal, similar to what the mayor said at the county, we are initiating our contracting process to make sure that we have professional debris removal folks coming in to work on getting debris out of the right-of-way for people who can get the debris there, and we'll be working on that all summer. This is going to be a huge task. My understanding is in Little Rock, they're still working on that from last year's disaster.
Any update on the 3 people that were injured? Any updates on that?
Do you have an
People injured.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the fatality count is,
Well, yeah, I guess the fatality count and some of the injuries. Somebody in our newsroom on 3 people that were injured in Benton County.
I don't have the specifics on that. A lot of times once someone is transported to the hospital because of HIPAA, we're not able to get additional information on what those injuries were or what the progress or diagnosis of those are.
So no update.
Okay.
I will say the injuries that we dealt with, other than fatalities, most of the injuries were not life-threatening.
Yeah.
They were serious injuries, but they were stable once they were loaded on.
Come up to the mic. I mean, so we can hear.
In reference to the ones we witnessed, the injuries we saw, obviously to have an ambulance there was a critical injury, but most of those people were not life-threatening injuries and were transported. Beyond that, we don't know what happens then.
Yeah, how busy was search and rescue for your department?
It was very busy, just like it was in all the cities. Rogers, Decatur, Bentonville, going house to house, making sure that no one was injured or hurt. A lot of trees on houses. We also had many cases where we had elderly who lived by themselves who had medical needs. So getting those assessed and addressed, that was very important early on.
Will there be any kind of aid for people who have lost jobs?
So also, in addition to FEMA being on the ground, SBA is on the ground. And so the Small Business Administration will have they're currently here. They have personnel here. They'll be establishing a location where folks can come in person to fill out applications. So those applications, and my understanding is it's much more vast than what the average person would associate when you think of Small Business Administration, to the point that folks, there's examples, they can do car loans, they do home loans. They're very low fixed interest rates over 5 to 30 years in some cases. So yes, that assistance for those displaced because their business was damaged and they're an employee and maybe the owner's not leading that cause, they will have resources to help take care of themselves.
Will there be a kind of scale for how much someone's property got damaged, and that equates to how much funding they'll get?
So I'm not aware of the matrix in which the SBA uses to determine the eligibility of those folks. What I can say in somewhat in line with your question, though, is that when it comes to the FEMA reimbursements and/or losses of full properties, those thresholds have changed as of March and are a little easier and a little broader for folks to apply for. So I while I can't get in the weeds because that's not the work I do, I'm sort of just telling you what I've heard from the representatives of FEMA, and they believe that those changes in March will directly affect in a positive way the folks from Northwest Arkansas that are going to need to use their services.
Will the National Guard continue to be in town throughout the weekend?
Yes. Right now, and I don't know if our orders are the same, but right now our general orders go through next Friday.
yes.
That is yours? Okay, so we're all on the same page. And that's, that's just because you have to establish expectations and determine, how to maneuver. So it doesn't necessarily mean that next Friday, everybody's gone and that won't happen again. We'll reevaluate, continue to have conversations with the governor's office and Adam and the Guard and determine the best way to move forward with that.
Is their main mission traffic control right now, or are they patrolling streets, or could that change?
So the orders that we have for the troops assigned to Rogers is for traffic control. And so if we were to want to expand, so the county's using them, we're going to use them for monitoring Or, oh, just traffic control. Okay. So if we want to change the use, that has to go back up through the chain of command within the National Guard, as well as through Adam in the governor's office. But intentionally, you want to keep those things pretty tight as far as what you're asking them to help with, both for their knowledge to send the right troops, but also so that the expectation of the community is understood as well.
Is there a budget or a cap on the amount of aid is being given to residents through FEMA, or is it unlimited?
So it depends on the category of aid. They certainly have caps on some of their property displacement reimbursements or rebuilds, but I'm not aware of what the cap would be for, say, individual assistance, and I don't know. You may have more information than I do if you want
to. The FEMA administrator told us when she was in town that the cap per individual is $47,500. But one thing that's very important to know about this is you have to file it with your insurance first, and then anything that they don't cover and deductibles, or if you're not insured, they're going to have proof of that before they can process the claim. So you are going to have to provide some information to them to file those claims. There is a one-page document that we have that if it's not on our website yet, it will be today, which is it lists the different things that individual assistance will help those individuals with. Just facilities?
Or property, because I have an estimate from the city of Rogers, but I didn't know if there's one for just county.
So for buildings, just for the county, we're at $750,000, but there's additional for the debris and everything else that goes along.
Is there an updated number yet as to how many homes for sure have been deemed destroyed?
There's 2,400 to fill out the damage assessment, and several dozen of those are completely destroyed, but those were a long ways from the end of that assessment. There's a long way to go there.
Right now, we have 54 that are confirmed destroyed, but that number is increasing as we get information reported to us and as we are out assessing that damage.
Do you have the number yet of how many confirmed so far of major damage? Yesterday I was told 90. Has that gone up?
146 right now.
Thank you.
I have another housing question.
Another what?
Another housing question for the judge. I mean, I haven't looked into it, but I assume, a lot of these hotels and everything's kind of full right now, and we have shareholders coming up next week. I am sure that's been something you guys have been thinking about. Do you have an update on if that's still happening, or how we're gonna deal with housing, when we have people displaced and hotels are probably full?
So I'd refer to Walmart on any questions related to shareholders. I've not been told that they're not holding shareholders. So I'm assuming, unless I've heard that, they will be. Mayor Orman might have a more specific update on that. And I'm assuming that they have their needs covered for the folks that are coming in for that. But I'd have to refer that to Walmart. Yeah. Okay.
Do you know yet when individuals can apply in person for the FEMA assistance? You said that would be set up?
Yeah, so they will set up a center they call a disaster recovery center. I don't know that we have an exact time frame yet. Do we know, Robert, when that's coming?
It should probably be at some point mid to late next week. They have to identify the locations, and there's a process they have to go through, but they will move very quickly on that.
Thanks. Well, will there be one physical location, or will there be a few out in the county?
That is to be determined. We think we're going to have two, but we're not positive. And actually, you can go right now onto the FEMA website and apply.
And people can do that right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have there been any reports of scamming or looting?
Do you want to take? In the city of Rogers, we don't have, we haven't had a looting issue. There have been, minor thefts, but those were occurring weeks before the storm. So we've not seen any uptick, I should say, as a result of that.
Now, we've received many phone calls, people concerns being scammed by tree removal. Some of those we believe are probably scams. Another issue, in my opinion, we're seeing some price gouging. Extreme prices to remove a tree that are, talked to a lady earlier today on the phone. She had contacted a company, but she's been waiting. In the meantime, some people came to her door, knocked, and for 2 trees in her backyard, they wanted $25,000, just to give you an example of the gouging. They tried to talk her into that no one else is coming other than them. So our citizens need to be aware of that and don't get scammed by these people. You may have to wait a little while longer, but just wait for a legitimate company to come along. There's paying that kind of price. I'll contact the Attorney General if that gets out of hand and let them go from that aspect of it. But I believe some of the cities have had some scams going on. Mayor Orban, you know of any?
We have had some reports.
All right, you were just hearing from Benton County officials providing updates on the recovery efforts. They're announcing that they will have 3 debris dump sites available in the county for tree limb disposal starting at 7 a.m. That actually started today. They've also updated their website and put everything that you need to know for disaster recovery efforts there. So make sure you check that website to get the latest information from them. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn now to a CBS News special report. President Biden is speaking right now. Let's go ahead and listen into that.
To support Israeli security, to get humanitarian supplies into Gaza, to get a ceasefire and a hostage deal to bring this war to an end. Yesterday, with this new initiative, we've taken an important step in that direction. I want to level with you today as to where we are and what might be possible. But I need your help.
You're done with me?
Everyone who wants peace now must raise their voices and let the leaders know they should take this deal, work to make it real, make it lasting, and forge a better future out of the tragic terror attack and war. It's time to begin this new stage. For the hostages to come home, for Israel to be secure, for the suffering to stop. It's time for this war to end, for the day after to begin. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you